All right, everybody, we're live into the group and a webinar, and I've got my co-hosts Brett and Randy.
Hello, friends.
Hello.
Brett's finger is getting better, if you were wondering, much better. And Randy does, in fact, have a cookout menu behind his head at his new house. So there you go. And of course, we're interviewing Bryan Short today, Google PPC Master SEO. Dude, you're like a legend in the Chime world.
I'm the most famous person in the smallest niches known to man.
And that's
Hey, you know what? A little bit of something is better than all of nothing.
I guess.
That's the way to go, bro. That's the way to go. Welcome back. And the stage is yours. Enlighten us, talk to us, make us.
Yeah, so a lot of what I do with clients in addition to traffic is just strategy. And I find that there are many situations where agents become overwhelmed or otherwise aren't acting in a way that makes the most sense to leverage their existing assets in their business. So I thought I would come up with something that's like bite size. Okay. And ideally, this does not feel like a root canal to the people with the Chime sites that get it, right? Because sometimes you need to brush your teeth. Sometimes you need a dentist.
Hold on, Bryan. That's
right.
Dude, come on.
Right. Sometimes you need, a dentist, a normal every 6-month cleaning, and sometimes you need a root canal. And unfortunately, and this is no criticism to Chime, it's just the state of how tech is in today's world. These systems can get so complex to fully understand them. Like one of the things I mentioned in the last webinar we did, Tristan, is that sometimes it can feel like you need a PhD in these systems to be able to pull it off. Right? So today I'm going to break down like a crippling mistake, like a massive crippling mistake that most people are making, my clients included. Like I'm not singling out anyone. So please understand, I'm not trying to be, I guess, negative toward what agents are doing or whatnot, but just make them kind of aware of some of the things that I see happening and how easy some of the button pushing is to fix.
That works.
Let's do it, buddy.
Fair enough. Okay.
I feel like I'm lost every time I talk to Brett and Adam. So don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it.
No, me too. So that happens. All right. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So we titled this "The Number One Mistake Most Agents Make with a Chime Site and How to Fix It So You Can Get More Listings, How to Get Incredible Video Content Without Doing Video Yourself, the top questions the seller wants to know about your service, and the button pushing side of this. Okay. So first, let's just get into state of market and commonly what I hear with clients. So there is a massive industry experience right now, kind of unlike another. Like I've been selling real estate since 2006. So I've been very aware of the ins and outs of how the market's felt from the blue sky to the collapse to the comeback. But it is really odd right now with inventory. Right? Yeah. Does anyone disagree? I mean, it is like abnormally low.
It's nuts right now, man.
It's like insane.
You like hard to even predict. You're like, you can't really go back to your tool bag to be like, oh, I remember XYZ, how to do that. It's like right now you can have some of the most motivated buyers agents on the planet. They're striking out. They're causing massive like self-belief issues. And then a lot of times we're not, shooting the proverbial bullets in the gun that we have. Right. So I hear that discounters are growing. Agents and teams want to take listing inventory. And in general, a lot of my clients are making massive efforts with lead gen and follow-up. But if you ask them in a given week, if you say, how many times did you try to pitch a buyer? How many, hours of effort did you put into XYZ? Like working CRM leads, it might be 3 hours, 5 hours, 10, 12, whatever. If I say, how much time have you focused on pre-pitching sellers that you are a good choice? I don't even hear like 5 minutes.
Right.
Right? Like, so
that's true.
Like not even 20 minutes, right, Brett? It's not even like,
that's interesting.
6 hours. Like I matched my buy side pitch time. Hell no. Like I'm not hearing that from anyone. So let's just rip through like how to do this without the root canal.
I love that. All right, let's do that, man. Cause I don't think people understand that They want people to make decisions like on the spot, but they didn't build up to giving that opportunity for people to decide, right? It's like, decide right now, hire me.
They also misassume the scenario that they're in, right? Like the buy side desire shows up like 99 times out of 100.
Right.
Right. The sell side desire does not really show up.
No, you've got to dig it out usually.
You've got to dig it out and you've got to substantiate something that they can bite into. So one of the mental frames you want to put yourself in when you evaluate this is, let's say that a dear friend of yours or a relative was going to list their property, and it's your job to find a listing agent that does not suck. Right? That's the goal. You're like, okay, my cousin's selling his property. I know I want to get him a top flight agent. Let's just even assume you weren't an agent. You didn't have a way to go through your own relocation network or, your corporate docs.
Mm-hmm.
You would probably hunt on the agent's site and find one that substantiates claims and proves what they say.
100%.
Right? In general.
Yeah.
So the current problem, right? You haven't changed your seller's pitch page since you got your Chime site. And again, I'm not trying to be critical. Like most every client is in this situation. I don't really build sites. So I have this weird thing between like where I make people aware of things, but it also gives them, something to do, which I kind of don't do in my service. I'm more on the traffic and strategy side and the media buy side. So essentially clients look at you on your seller's pitch page and they pre-sniff you for a listing appointment, right? This is going to happen and has been happening since the beginning of time, right? Through referrals. This happens in plastic surgery. This happens in organic lawn care. Like there's a million different ways people are looking for you to back up what you say, and they are not going to reach out or trust you at all unless you come forward and say, hey, I'm freaking good at this. Here's a bunch of proof. Here's why people hire me, right? Like you got to come out guns blazing, pitching.
You actually have to put in the effort for when someone does pre-sniff you to have great quality content that they're going to be able to relate to.
100%, 100%. And I'm not sure if I'm even being clear enough. What I'm saying is we have clients that are in the top 1% of sales agents and their site does not say anything like that. I wouldn't know if they're in the bottom 1% or the top 1% because they just didn't even put it on the damn site. So I'm not saying that these are people that don't have track record and we've got to make up a fake track record. I'm saying shoot the bullets in the gun that you got.
I think the thing that I like telling people is that it's really great that you have a secretive listing process, but if you can't give enough of it away that a potential client can understand why they should choose you over somebody else, you're going to lose that client before you even have the opportunity to show them what you can possibly do.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this winds up in a situation where agents, right, my clients, misdiagnose. They say, hey, all the leads are buyers. I told you I want sellers. I'm sick of buyers. I just want listings. Switch my campaign sets. Right. And my response to them is typically, hey, nationwide, I'm looking at analytics. My average lead is 58 years old.
Right.
Like you think these people are straight renting for 58 years and now they're coming out of the woodwork to buy a house on a country club golf course at 650,000 or $1 million. Like,
right.
No way. Right. So let's get into how to diagnose this and like rip through this really quickly so it's not so hard. So you're going to get 1 point for every question you answer. You're going to learn how to swipe video content. We're going to do the button pushing. And then I've got a Google sheet. I can probably share that in the notes. And then it's also on my site. So forgive me for notes. Let's just go through some of this real quick. But just so if you guys are watching, this is going to be recorded and there is going to be a link either in like YouTube or Tristan can put it out there so you can get this sheet. So do not feel that you have to rapidly start typing. There's not going to be an opt-in. There's not a squeeze page. You don't need to give me your email. Like we're trying to help people here. So don't worry about that side. All right. Let me scroll down here. Okay. So in general, you guys have enough size to see the screen pretty well?
Yeah, you're good.
Yep.
Okay. So let's just focus on this column first. Minimum viable seller's pitch page is one of the training videos in my members area. And this is the Cliff's Notes of it for Chime. So great headshot, intro pitch, find some corporate assets you can swipe if you don't have eye candy of your own. Got to have some testimonials, solds, and then some kind of expectation to meet or book a showing. Okay. So when you've accomplished these, just hit X in this thing. So when you guys get this sheet, you can make your own sheet. You can copy it because it's a Google sheet. So just use this as a resource for you guys to go through when you're making these pages. Please don't ask your Chime rep to build this for you. Like this isn't on Chime to substantiate like how long you've been in bit. Like it's not that way. So don't try to blame shift that this should have been done before. Like it's on you to establish like what you do and why you do it. So
thank you for that, Bryan. I appreciate that.
What, right? You were about to get 452 emails.
Why
my
aren't my testimonials on my website? Well, they're your testimonials.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So let's just go through in general. I'm not saying you have to have all of these, right? It can be overwhelming to write this much copy, but I'm just saying these things are inside of consumers' heads. If you do not answer it, assume that they default to the worst thing you could think of, right? It could be from client is number one in the market to this guy's never sold a house before. Like if you don't claim it, they are not going to think anything good. So how long have you been doing this? What's your list sales to price ratio? Have people wealthier than you trusted you with this process in their life? What do you do that other agents don't do? Why is it a benefit to work with you versus someone else? How long will this take? Can't I just sell my house to some website for cash? I already know an agent and it'd prevent an awkward social pressure to not hire them. Do you have examples where you've succeeded where others have failed? What other people say about you? Can you prove what you say or are you just running your mouth? Is there a benefit to a national brokerage or hyper boutique better? What percentage of the time do you sell your own listings? When should I plan different assets to move? What do I do about financing? How much do you charge? Okay, those are all things in their head. So when you think about your scenario, it would help to give yourself a point for either one of those. Do not be at 0. I'm not saying you got to be at whatever 17 columns or whatever this is, but good God, don't be at 0.
Right.
Right? Like, I'm not saying you have to become freaking the best copywriter on the planet. So I sent a message to a client last night and said, hey, I'm doing a Chime webinar tomorrow. I need to make a seller's pitch page. Can I borrow yours? So when you see this, keep in mind, I did this last night at like 10:45 at night.
Bryan, I can share one with you as well too.
Awesome. So let's first go with the before and after because everybody likes before and afters, right? So before, right? No, please don't call this client or try to message him or something and say, hey, your seller's page sucks or something. Like he's nice enough to just let me borrow the thing. The point is not to shame him or shame other clients in this scenario. So please don't reach out or blow up his site with test leads. Like
that's a pretty typical seller page these days.
Yeah. I mean, it mechanically it loads, right? There's nothing horribly wrong with it, but it does not say I'm worth 25 grand. Call me to come over. Right? It does not say that. So inside of the quick things that we can fix, the first thing is the intro, right? So let's reload this page. Hi, my name's Adam Prather. I'm a team agent here at Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty. I specialize in leveraging marketing assets and audiences to maximize my clients' home value to prospective buyers. In the past 7 years, I've watched countless sellers struggle to sell their properties for top dollar. What I've learned is that majority of listing agents are focused on the photos, virtual tours, and scheduling showings. What's a total surprise to most sellers is that these actions are totally commonplace, but the real advantage is in having better audiences rather than relying on simply having more images or videos. Here's an example. I recently took over a listing that was sitting on the market. The previous agent did a great job with the basics, but the home didn't sell. Obviously, the owners were perplexed as to why their home didn't sell when it seemed like it should have. The answer was in the audience the home was being marketed to. After implementing the Sotheby's audience network, my team booked 3 showings and sold the home in 5 days. The seller's review is below, among others. I'm not the highest volume agent in the Valley, nor am I one with the longest time in business. However, I focus on being the most effective in delivering a fantastic experience and highly probable outcomes based on your goals. If you're interviewing listing agents, please book a quick walkthrough meeting. Even if we don't work together, I'm sure you'll come away with marketing strategies that will positively impact your sale. Okay, so power pitch intro, digestible. It's not super long, but I get to the point. And I'm trying to dissuade them from thinking that if someone else has 400 listings, that they're a better listing agent.
Right.
One of the things that's hard for agents to do is get listings when they don't have any.
Yeah.
Right? Or get listings when someone else has 25 and you have 4.
Right.
And you're like, ugh, like that's really hard to deal with. So back to the sheet. We've covered intro, right? Intro pitch. Anybody have comments? I don't want to railroad your guys' thought process, but.
No, let me see if we have any on in the, no, everybody's on. Dude, you have a.
Yeah, you're good.
Cool. All right. So intro is done. Image, face, likeness, legal compliance, done. Swipe corporate assets. I don't know how long it would take to make a video better than this, but there's a good chance, like a 99% chance, most agents do not have a video better than whatever we can strip out of corporate. So I think it's only 30 seconds, so we'll just play it.
It looked like Tony Stark's house.
Right.
He's like, where's Iron Man?
RIP.
Thanks, Randy.
Just here to offer value.
That was good. Dude, I like that video. Smooth, short, easy.
Right. So 30-second power pitch, it's better than not having it there.
I agree.
Granted, it doesn't have the agent branded all over it. It's not his video. I know it's not all Phoenix. I know all those things, right? But in the beginning of this thing, I told you, let's make this not a freaking root canal. So don't wait to fix your seller's page to have your own video that you spend $5,000 in video production. Just get something from corporate up there today.
Something is better than nothing.
Good God. Yeah. Especially when you have assets like this. So we added another video block here, right? Billions in global referral volume, an agent talking about out-of-state buyers buying with video showings, right? And then I forget what this one's about, but it's basically another nice branded pitch. We go with reviews, right? So the awesome thing about Chime Sites is this was not custom code.
Right.
Right. Like I built this thing in the editor last night and like I've never really used that editor before.
Yeah.
With some other sites, this is full blown, like you need like CSS programming and the chance that you get it to work is like pretty well zero, especially with a feed.
Right.
So reviews, slam those for sure. Make sure that you tick the buttons to have enough of them. The default is going to be like 3. Again, people default to the worst. So if you have 3, they'll think you sold like 3 houses or you have 3 clients.
Right.
So jack this number up. Quick call to action, more info, that's fine. Recent sales. When you're doing recent sales, there's effectively 2 ways to do this. Either way you do it, do not lie. One, if you're a new agent, put the office sales here, right? So recently sold by XYZ office. Right? That's not technically a lie. Your office sold them. It's a bit of a misdirection to the consumer, but if you're brand new, you got to say something. So you're probably going to put office sales here, and we can go into the button pushing on the Chime site to get that to happen. But in general, if you have enough sales and a big enough track record, go with your own sales. Sales here. Another call to action, get in touch, and then something else that you found, compelling based on the things above. A little thing that I've noticed too when you're doing like a form is change the forms off the defaults. Like take away some of the pressure. Like if somebody reads this and they go to here, they might think that they're like listing their house, like that this robot's gonna like create something that means that they have to list with them. So I wrote the text here, no obligation to list.
Right.
Right. Just a little bit of a simple takeaway from doing that. Cool. So does this make sense so far, you guys?
Dude, everybody's loving it, man. Such great information.
Right?
Everyone is realizing that what Bryan is doing is literally laying out step by step how to build a website, right? So for anyone who's ever messaged me, like, how do I build a website? I'm literally just going to point them to this video.
Dude,
say, like,
couldn't
be any more clear.
edit this video. Let's edit this up into like a few minutes and be like, hey, here's what you need to do. If you don't know how to do it.
I don't want the gravity of this moment to be overlooked.
I don't know where I put.
Do you want to see what the root canal version looks like?
Yeah. Well, I've been through a lot of those. I don't see where to put this sheet. I don't see the chat.
We'll get an upload for you.
Bryan, just text it over to me and I'll put it up everywhere.
Yeah, we'll get it up for you.
Yeah. So if you just go to realestatetraininglabs.com/Chime sellers page, that'll take you to the resources sheet.
Just grab that and send it over to me by text if you can.
Yeah.
Or email it to me.
Cool. So let's go through some other questions and caveats. So what do people have questions with? I mean, I'm an open book. I spend upwards of like $400,000 a month on ads. So if you're wondering if your metrics look normal, don't look normal, if you're converting, not converting, I mean, feel free to pick my brain, but ideally we stay on this topic most specifically.
And Bryan, here, while people are asking you questions, let me pull up. Actually, if you can unshare your screen, I will share a screen real fast. I want to show you another version of this. So you guys have seen this site, but I'll pull it back up here real fast. Share.
Bryan, I'd like to hear from you as well, just some of your, in your experience, the best way to get buyer leads to turn into seller leads. Because I know that's the best way to get seller leads, but so many agents roll their eyes when they hear it. I'd like to hear about your personal experience and strategies around that.
Yeah, perfect. And I think Brett's ready. So do we want to cover one before the other?
I can stop this. People are asking you questions. Do your thing.
Okay, cool. So we'll get back to another example, but it's the same idea, right? It's a pre-sell page to make people want to list with you and dissuade them from listing with their cousin, golfing buddy, somebody that sells one house a year, right? So the first thing is you always need to allude to something that they currently do not have, right? If I call Randy back and I say, hey, Randy, this is Bryan. I'm an agent here in Phoenix, and I've got all the same MLS access as everyone else. So I thought I'd just pick your brain and ask about your financing situation and see if I can make 15, 20 grand off you. That's how it feels when you're pitching somebody and they don't like the frame. I'm dead serious.
You're not kidding at all.
Right? I mean, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I open the frame differently, and this doesn't matter if you're doing a buy side or a sell side, right? If you open the frame differently, you need to cover 5 things when you open frame. Here's who I am. Here's why I'm calling you. I know what you're looking for. I can help you get it. I have other clients looking for the same thing. They're doing research. Do you want to get in on it? Right? So let's say, again, I'm pitching Randy, and I notice he has a number out of Atlanta, and I'm pitching a property in Scottsdale, right? He signed up on my site. He's in Scottsdale. Hey, Randy, this is Bryan at Remax. We met through my website. You're checking out some properties here in Scottsdale. Just sending out some relocation packages today to other clients moving in from out of the area. So I thought I'd put your name on one. They're chock full of local area magazines, maps, like details about golf courses, restaurants, lots of eye candy, a bunch of stuff you kind of can't find on the websites. Does that taste better?
That's amazing.
Does that taste a little bit better? Like, do you want to hang up on me? Not so much. Like, the first one, you're kind of like, yeah, self-serving, commission vulture, like zero benefit for interacting.
Right.
Right. Yeah, there's zero benefit for the consumer to respond to you. All the benefit is on your side of the table.
Right. Right. So to answer Randy's question, usually if you're trying to get into somebody's head, you got to come in at a different angle. Right. So my intro, when I find a hidden seller, right? Or if I'm just gambling and I don't know they're hitting a seller, I ask them if they'll take an offer. I skip the will you list with me.
Yeah.
Hey, Randy, this is Bryan. Market inventory is really tight right now. So for the buyers and VIP buyer, I'm hunting in the private market. So I'm trying to play matchmaker here between the people that have created accounts on my website like you and my clients that are ready to make offers. So I'm curious, would you take an offer from one of my clients in the next 2 weeks to 3 months?
Wow. I like that.
Okay, so either way, I'm going to pitch you VIP buyer and you're like, oh shit, well, he's already doing this for other people. This is like above the service I'm getting from the 7 other websites I'm signed up for.
Yes.
I'm going to ferret out whether or not you own a property. If I'm dead wrong and you're renting, or you don't need to sell before you buy, I'm still pitching you VIP buyer.
Right.
The two things that stand out to me is I haven't had any other agent talk to me about a VIP buyer program, and I haven't had any agent talk to me about searching on the private market.
Yep. And the proof elements that you can overlay dramatically change whether or not people believe you.
Yep.
Like I will say some very, very blunt things to people that quickly change their mind about how much they believe me. Like, so let's say Brett is looking for a lake house, right?
Yep.
And he comes in on a waterfront campaign and I text him, hey, Brett, this is Bryan. Not sure if you're familiar with the differences between primary waterfront and secondary waterfront. There's about triple difference in taxes, plus other questions that come up like boats, dock permits, septic systems, and which properties you can remodel and which ones you can't. I'm a resource for any and all questions about waterfront properties. Just text me back or give me a call. Again, Bryan Short at Remax. We met and you were checking out some properties on Hayden Lake. Right? I'm going to ram questions into your head because I'm not going to show up and say, hey, you signed up on my site. Do you have any questions?
For the record, that is how Bryan and I met. He was ramming questions basically in my head.
Probably. And this is coffee, not wine. I use wine glasses for my coffee in the morning.
Yeah. Sure.
I think, well, I mean, so a little background on Bryan. Bryan sold a lot of real estate up in Spokane, Washington. He moved down to Vegas and has been doing, I mean, he does Google PPC for pretty much everybody under the sun because he's that good at it. Anybody that reaches out and goes, hey, who's your recommendation for Google PPC? It's always Bryan. I don't even dabble with anybody else. And the reason is because if you think what you're getting out of this webinar is good, you haven't even scratched a tiny surface of what goes on in Bryan's head. And so I did PPC with Bryan for a long time. Aurora has done PPC with Bryan for a while. And I'm going to tell you right now, the leads that you get through it, everybody goes, well, I want quality leads. Well, Bryan will quickly correct you that there are no bad leads. There's only really bad follow-up. And he's very blunt about it. And the leads that do come through, right. There is no sugarcoating with you. And I love it because you're not trying to sell anything. You're genuinely trying to help people. And if anybody would like to try to have a higher ROI, ads with Bryan, just they do it. And then I challenge you to try to beat my ROI with Bryan. So.
It's pretty juicy. We've got a guy working on it. We got a guy on the train. He's cranking.
And Bryan, you only do this for Chime, right?
No, so I'll drive traffic to any site that fits my metrics of, quote unquote, the sites that don't suck. There's not many of them. So
you only do it for Chime, right, Bryan?
So I'll say this. So if you want the highest statistical probability of success, the first thing you need to do is get a site that does not suck. And Chime's easily one of the best. And when you start counting best per dollar, really, really good. There's some great options at triple the price, but I don't see why you wouldn't just spend more money on ads.
Right.
Like, I mean, marginally, I don't know, it's 2 to 3% different if you can figure out all the bells and whistles each way. But if you don't have budget for ads, you can really get hung up.
Yeah. And then if you go any lower than that, you run out of features, and then you're spinning your wheels trying to follow up with everybody that you send over.
Well, worse, you wind up trying to customize the bejesus out of it with CSS, and it goes so freaking slow that you cripple the site. Like I can put on a list everybody with with low opt-in rates, almost all of them have heavily modified sites.
Yep.
Almost always.
Yep.
And then they don't understand why their website is so slow.
Well, it looks pretty to them, but they don't understand. Yeah, it's odd. It's kind of odd, like how easy it is to break some of these things. It's unfortunate. It's not necessarily on Chime or any other thing, but I try to keep people on the stuff that matters. So a lot of what I think people experience with what I do is a lot of it is decision-making workflows based on psychology, and it's not based on your psychology. It's based on the consumer.
Yeah. One thing that I got actually quite a bit from you. You and I chatted a lot, like way back when you and I were chatting a lot. And I think one of the things that I pulled out of there that I've run with ever since then is it doesn't matter what I think of my own site. Yeah, I like my site. It's a nice site, but it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the person using my site thinks.
Yep.
And what is important to them, and having the information on there that is relevant to what they are searching for.
Yep. And let's go over another seller's pitch page example. I think Brett had one pulled up.
I can pull it back up. Yeah, I can pull it back up for you. There it is. Share. Cool. Is that sharing?
Yep.
I mean, basically, this is Aurora's page. She kind of took things a whole different direction than anybody else, but she used all of her own stuff, signage. This is all media she had. She has a little pamphlet that you go through and tells you all about how she does what she does. But it then came into the videos that she did, and each one of these tells a little bit more about why someone should go with her. And if you look at the overall click through on all of these, and if you look at a heat map on her site, everybody's clicking the videos.
Yeah.
And so that's what I always encourage people to do, is make your own videos, make your own, tell your own story, and go back through. Honestly, take that list that you posted, take that list, go through that list, and then make your videos talking about those kind of things. And then you can use that in more than one way. You can put that on your social media. You can put that on YouTube. You can do all kinds of stuff with it.
Yep.
She tries to put as many call to actions as humanly possible. What would someone pay for your home? That kind of stuff. And then my favorite ones she puts on here are sell my home. Like, just get maximum exposure for your home today. Sell my home. And it goes to a home selling page.
Yeah.
So, I mean, basic, but I mean, it's a little more root canal-y than what you came up with.
It is. In do one before the other. If you're not ready to bite off this much, that's fine. Don't do it yet.
Right. Yeah. Start small, work big.
Just get something on the deck.
Yeah. Yep. Anybody else have any questions?
Don't not do this because you don't have enough content to replicate Aurora's site. You need to get something on there, even if it's.
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention on the assets. Let me share the screen again, if that's all right.
Yeah, do it.
Okay, so on the assets, I did you guys a solid, and I made a list of all the biggest brokerages, the YouTube channel, and the playlist for swiping.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
So
that's awesome.
I'm not sharing that with anybody. I mean, thanks, Bryan.
and some of this stuff, when I went through it last night, I was like, there's like corporate recruiting videos. Like, we have clients with recruiting pages and nothing from corporate. There's ones about, like, one of the things that I was studying a while ago in copywriting was like, things that change people's probability of doing business with you. Guess what one of the highest ones is? Track record of donations or community involvement.
Interesting.
So Century 21, I think they work with, I don't know if it's Make-A-Wish, or pretty much every one of these has some kind of charity they donate millions of dollars to.
Right.
It's probably a findable video inside here.
Yeah.
All right. I like that, Bryan. Dude, we're going to have to create like a show for you once a month in Chime.
Oh, man.
Right.
Yes, sir.
It's like,
I think
it's like just get the short with Bryan.
Shortcuts with Bryan. But
The
was this wasn't too bad of a root canal, right? Like,
no.
Does anyone have questions on the button pushing? Like, do they know how to get to the seller's page? Are we running out of time?
No, this is good, man. I think if everybody can start with your sheet and just say, look, I want to tackle, let's say they wanted to create one video for each of the questions once a week, make it like 2 to 3 minutes. They could at least start somewhere. Right?
I would be so impressed if someone made 3 videos in 3 months.
I mean, honestly, getting action has been it's sometimes is like pulling teeth. So
it can be the quickest way for an agent to change their mental frame on what's happening is completely change the date in which you get paid and your expectation. So like if I'm going to sit down and pitch Randy my buy side representation, mentally imagine the way I need to write the presentation to, honest to God, at the end of it, ask him for a cashier's check for 3% or whatever the percentage is of whatever he's going to buy.
Right.
I'm pitching him, he's buying at 800K. I need to walk out with a $20,000 check. How strong does my pitch need to be?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like way more beefed up than it probably is right now.
And you know what, Bryan, as you're building this out right here, the screen that you're showing me, some of these questions will come up pre-listing, and you could just grab that link to your site, to your video, and use that as well for some of the answers that you may want to come up with on the fly with some of these people that are wondering, hey, should I even use you? Well, check this out, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't be afraid to remind people via text or email where to find something on your site.
Yeah.
It's kind of shocking how many times, like I submit test leads all the time just for tracking and like analytics and making sure everything's firing. It is really interesting how many times I'll get a communique that has no offer and no path other than me just like copying up my own like thought process.
For the record, from someone who has had those test leads come through, he does not use his name, just so you know. Had that experience.
Never know when Bryan's going to come audit you.
We call that quality assurance, and Bryan is very good at it.
But it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic because there is really low inventory. I think most buyers agents right now or team owners would trade 5 buyers for 1 listing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a pretty good assessment.
Right. And they would. And we can go back and say like, all right, in the past 7 days, past 5 days, how many hours have you put into XYZ? And how many hours have you put into establishing your credibility as a listing agent? And a lot of times people have incredible track record.
Yeah.
They're just not showing it. I mean, I literally have agents that are like #1 in their county, and you go to their sellers page and you're like, yeah. It doesn't look that great.
That's so true. Bryan, I have a question for you. How many more people can you take on to do their PPC?
In what market?
All around the United States.
Oh, quite a few. I mean, in general, it's not a huge business. It's like a 5-person team.
Okay.
So the main thing is I try to onboard the right people. I'm not just, I mean, if you get on the phone with me, you'll realize very quickly, like I'm massively helpful. It's not a pitch fest, but the friction that I'm experiencing right now is lending to people with larger budgets being far more probable in higher ROIs. Like small budgets are getting harder and harder. And that's happening in pretty much every industry. It doesn't really matter if you're selling, mattresses or you're selling, real estate or houses or, car insurance. Like compression is happening. There's a flood of people coming off of Zillow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
From someone so I'm gonna take off my Chime hat. I'm gonna put on my real estate agent has worked with Bryan before hat, because you need to hear a couple of things before you reach out to Bryan. One, if you're going to nickel and dime, don't nickel and dime. Literally come in and say, here's what I am able to afford monthly for PPC. Have that budget established beforehand, and whatever it is, tack on about 10% extra. Just know that because you're going to want it. Second, how many leads am I going to get is going to be dependent on your budget size. all the leads are going to be pretty darn good. Bryan will work with you to get you what you need, as far as like, he'll talk to you and say, hey, here's what you need to do. The best lead that I ever got from Bryan Short, and buddy, I love you to this day for it, because I didn't even know that my campaign had started yet with him. And so I'm standing there in my house and my phone rings and I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. I answered it. And it was a dude standing at the welcome sign to this community called Horn Rapids. And he goes, hey, is this Brett? And I said, yeah. And he goes, hey, apparently you're like the Horn Rapids guru, and I'm supposed to reach out to you. I'm thinking about buying a house in here. And in my head, I'm like, who the is this guy? And how did he get my information? And then I start digging into it, and sure shit, I'm looking at it a little bit more, and I dig a little bit more, and then all of a sudden I hang out with him, and Bryan calls me, hey, did you get that lead? And I'm like, what? That was you? And he goes, yeah, I've positioned you to be like the Horn Rapids guru. And those would be the things. They wouldn't always come into my website. They would literally come to my phone, and it would be someone standing there at the marquee sign of these communities, like reaching out to you. And so my advice, go into it with an open mind, and trust me, you don't know more than he does. I thought I did. You do not know more than Bryan does. Let Bryan do what Bryan does. Yep. And that's like my there you go. That's my pitch for Bryan.
No, I appreciate it. And it's largely about not malfunctioning along the way.
Yeah.
Like, can I tell you guys some stories? I mean, this is going to come off as bragging, but can I tell you about the ridiculousness that I deal with?
Yeah, please do. And then after you're done, tell us the difference between a small budget versus a good budget.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a client email me, and I'm not going to mention who it is, right? So emails me that he wants
Frank.
to.
We'll just put the name Adam Frank right there. Just
no, it was not Adam.
Come on, Bryan, go along with it.
So he emails me and he says, I want to drop my budget, XYZ. In the email, right, his reasoning is because he has other channel partners paying, right?
Okay.
I'm like, okay, so you want to lower budget? We're going to lower budget across all channel partners. And he's like, oh, no, I just want to lower mine. I'm like, okay, that's convoluted. I'm not going to really like have you spend less than the lender. That doesn't really make sense. But get this. He's at $100 in escrow.
Cool.
And he's thinking about lowering his effing budget.
Yeah.
And we've got 5 other people's credit cards on deck. And I'm like, okay, your cost per sale is 10% of what other people's are. You have 12 deals in the pipe, because you just told me that in the email, and you want to take gas out the race car? Like, are you kidding me? Like, people would kill for your position. Like, I have a client right now who has a break even on Zillow where he has to spend $2.2 million in a month.
Yep.
To hit nothing.
That's just a break even.
Just to break even. Okay. He's at 800% with me. So he's down throttling Zillow and up throttling what I'm doing. Right. But people that malfunction along the way, it will blow your mind. Like, it is so mental when you're an agent that most of the time it's an emotional malfunction. It's not a mathematical malfunction. Like, I have people at 2000% ROI quit. I had one guy go from 24 deals a year to 24 pending, and he is not currently a client.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to track this type of information, because people at short-term emotions make long-term decisions, and that's when you make the biggest mistake.
I mean, that's on a shirt, but
some of the best advice I've ever gotten was, don't let short-term emotions make long-term decisions.
Oh God. Yeah.
Short-term emotions.
What was mine? 7,000.
You were 7,000x. You had 7,000% return.
Dude, you're slacking, dude.
70.
I know.
What's going on, Brett?
But it's odd. I mean, you would think before somebody signs up, right? You say like, hey, if you get a 2,000% ROI, will you stay forever? And I have like a list of people where I'm like, I have it on my spreadsheet, canceled, and then the reason, right? Canceled. Right. God forbid they got cancer, that like something happened, like some variation of something. A lot of times it has nothing to do with me or them. It's just life, life happened.
Bryan, we're gonna cut it off. We're losing a couple people. We told them 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's exciting. I love this. Can we do a root canal on the next one?
I don't know if you want the root canal.
Live?
Yeah, let's go deeper, man. Or you know what, Brian? I'll leave the topic up to you, man. But
well, let me just answer the last question that you had. So you said what's low, what's high?
Yeah.
1,000's low, 5,000's high.
1,000 is low.
It's low budget for me. Like 1,000 is
Yeah.
like barely where I'm interested. It barely makes sense. It still can work, but it's increasingly frictiony.
Okay.
Yeah, like it doesn't make sense to do this for a small amount of money. I think anyone's goal with me should at least be 100 grand. Like you should never be engaging with me with a goal underneath 100 grand a year. Like we have people doing that a month. So like, don't come in thinking you're going to add 30 grand a year to your sales. Like it's not worth it.
Right.
All right. So if you started around 5K, you'd say that's super solid.
5K, you're going to be ripping.
All right.
At 5K a month with Bryan, you'll have more business than you have probably you will have more business than you will know what to do with.
Your brain will start melting around 3 grand, depending on your team size. Like it'll happen pretty quickly, but it's a lot less risky. Like I went over in the first video, budget is less risky the more you spend. I know that does not sound true, but.
Well, dude, I'm going to throw money at you. Okay.
Yeah, no, I've already got your organizational structure built out, man. I've already racked out the whole damn
That's
county.
Hilarious.
Let's throw some money at Bryan and make sure you keep.
Tristan has a money gun. He just has one of those money guns that shoots dollar bills at Bryan.
Money. I love it, guys. Well, thanks for being on. Bryan, again, thank you so much.
Cool. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Let's do something monthly. Will be awesome. Brett, Randy, thanks for being on. Thanks for always co-hosting these things and making them happen.
Yeah, thanks for your time, for an amazing platform and just a really good environment for people to learn and grow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for doing this, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Later, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Y'all take it easy.
All right. Bye.